tonight,
Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Okay, boys and girls, it's another. You know what? Let's do this show in the middle of the night. It's 2:30 a.m. and it goes out to a lonely trucker in Arizona, making his way across the West with another load of potato skins. Anyways, it's another edition. It's another edition of A Modeler's Life. I have no idea what episode this is, but tonight we have Bruce the Angry Mailboy.
That's me.
And we have Secret Agent 0013, Tom Jacobs.
Hi there.
All right. And Tom,
yes.
This is perfect for you because neither you nor I have any idea what this show is about. This was all arranged by Bruce the Angry Mailboy.
I love surprises.
Me too.
Yeah, so just follow my lead and pick up on the beat as we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wasn't that what he says in Back to the Future?
Back to the Future, yeah.
Yeah, follow my lead and pick up on the beat. So do you have any idea, Bruce, what we're doing? Is this are we interviewing you?
Well, you could, but that probably is not going to be as interesting as interviewing the chap we want to, who is actually a super fan.
Wow.
Super fan number 12, so he beat Mr. Jacobs in by one.
Yeah.
So he has seniority, so respect there, Mr. Jacobs. We're going to talk to Ed Olszewski tonight.
Okay.
And he, why don't you run down to the green room and grab him out, and then we'll get going.
Yeah, we'll send Tom down. Actually, you know what? I've never been to the green room. I'm
No?
gonna go.
Have you never been in the green room? Okay, go for it, pal.
I'll go down. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're a brave man.
Just follow the trail of chicken nuggets.
Okay. Yeah. Oh my God!
Yeah,
what is in? I barely opened the door and the smell blew me back. What is in that room?
I think it's the shrimp, but we're not sure because nobody's been able to get in to get
it. My clothes. I'm gonna have to fumigate my clothes for somebody else. Go get them. I'm the evil overlord. I've done my bit. I'm never going in there.
Okay, Tom, your turn.
Okay, let me take a deep breath. Okay, come on, Ed, let's go. Quick.
Okay, just a second. I taken off my mop floor hazmat suit. I don't know what you got in that room, but I'm glad I brought it.
Sure if it's leftover shrimp or snacks or somebody's actually running a bioweapons lab, but we're not quite sure.
I don't know, but that other end of the couch, it's starting to smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, be careful where you sit there.
Yeah.
The fumes are kind of getting thick for sure. Okay, so we've got Ed Olszewski in here from, I believe Ed resides in Syracuse, New York.
That is correct.
The home of
Been here for a whole lot of years.
Home of the Orangemen?
Yeah.
Syracuse Orangemen, absolutely. Yeah. And the Syracuse Chiefs and
what's
Syracuse Crunch.
What's this? Okay, I know the Crunch is the hockey team.
Right.
What are the Chiefs? The baseball team?
They're the baseball team.
And
local baseball team.
And do you have a CFL team?
No.
For the CFL stands for Canadian Football League. So
Yep.
Syracuse is how far south of Lake Ontario is Syracuse?
50, 60 miles probably.
Okay. And so you get a lot of the lake.
Yeah.
Can you hear me talk? Can you hear me talking?
Yeah.
Don't ever talk over top of me.
You know, I should know that by now. I apologize.
So, you get. I don't even remember what the question was now. All right, Bruce. What's the point of this? What are we doing here?
Well, this all comes about to the May 2018 issue of the NMRA magazine. I was flipping through, and there's an article, a nice little 4-page article about a club that has built a layout they take to shows to flog the hobby to youngsters, and it's a switching layout, and youngsters and oldsters and in-betweensters can have a crack at operating the layout. And I looked, and lo and behold, there's a picture of Ed on the at the end of the article, who is part of this group, and I figured it'd be kind of fun just to talk to him about what his group is doing to promote the hobby amongst the youngsters and that type of thing.
I thought the hobby was dying.
It is, but Ed's going to tell us otherwise.
And so you're flipping. What is the name of the NMRA magazine? Because it used to be the Bulletin, and that's what I call it.
It's called NMRA magazine.
Oh, I thought it had some fancy name now.
No, they called it NMRA magazine.
They don't call it the Bulletin anymore?
No, the Bulletin's part of the NMRA magazine now.
Oh.
It's all very confusing. At one time it was the Bulletin, but now the Bulletin is part of the NMRA magazine, and the Bulletin only deals with NMRA specific stuff.
Oh, okay. Were you aware of this, Ed?
I was, but to add to that history, I think between the Bulletin and NMRA magazine, it was called Scale Rails.
There was, yes.
That's right, too. Yeah, it was Scale Rails for a while. I wonder how long was it Scale Rails, I wonder?
I think it's about 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe
It wasn't very long.
Oh.
So now it's just the NMRA. How big is the NMRA magazine?
Well, the May 2018 issue is 60.
No, I don't mean pages. I mean dimensions.
Oh, 8.5 by 11. Normal magazine size.
How many centimeters would that be?
Yeah. What? You want me to tell you? I'll get my tape measure.
Yeah, I might.
It's not quite A size, but it's so yeah, it's about 6. It averages somewhere around 64, 66 pages, something like that.
Okay, all right. So, does it have advertising in it?
It does have advertising in it.
Okay. So, Tom Jacobs, obviously you've never met. I've never formally met Mr. Olszewski. Is it Olszewski?
Olszewski.
Oh my God! Come on. Now you're even confusing me more. Olszewski.
Yes.
We thought we had it right, considering
I was happy
our lack of skills. I was happy with that, but
I was happy. Yeah, I was happy at Olszewski, and then it became Olszewski, and that's not even right. How do you pronounce it again?
Olszewski.
Olszewski.
Yep.
Okay.
Olszewski. And has anybody ever pronounced it correctly other than you?
Yeah, there's been actually a few people that have.
Olszewski. Now you
probably your mom and dad.
My mom and dad. Yep. My brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And the heritage of that is Polish?
Yes.
Okay. I have one of the fellows. Yep. One of the fellows that works for me is Polish. And are you your parents immigrated or your grandparents immigrated?
My grandparents.
Okay, cool. And how did you end up in Syracuse? Is that where did you grow up there?
Yeah. Yep. That's where my grandparents settled, and that's where we stayed.
Okay, so somehow now you've ended up, because I know you're pretty active in what region are you in?
We're in the Northeast region, and I'm a member of the Central New York Division.
The Central New York Division of the NMRA is pretty active, isn't it?
We're very active, yeah. We meet every 6 weeks or so. And our format is we go around to different members' homes and view their layouts. They get to show off what they have, and it's a great social hour, couple of hours, and we usually have a clinic or two. Sometimes it's a show and tell on model building, and other times we'll actually have judged contests.
And do you feel...
But you're not scale policing, right, when you go to these other people's layouts?
Oh, no. I as a rule, everybody in the division believes that there's something to be learned even from a plywood prairie layout. You can always learn something. So,
and I'm sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
I was just going to say it's a really friendly bunch. Everybody here is very willing to help out. We don't charge dues. We never have, don't ever plan to, because it's actually written right into our bylaws. We fund our division activities through a raffle that we hold at every meeting. And we get a little bit of a stipend from the national based on the membership, the NMRA membership. But most of our funding comes from the raffles we hold. All the members will bring unwanted items, and we'll throw them on a table and buck a ticket, and you get to pick when your number's pulled. And then every other year we hold an auction that's open to the public, and we just will auction off a lot of unwanted gear that we have.
So how many people do you get out to a typical meeting?
Typically we'll get 25, 30 people.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Depending on the layout and whether we've been there before or not, we've had upwards of 60 people.
Right. And how big of an area are you covering?
That's a good sized area. We cover from the western line of Onondaga County. Just a second, please. I apologize. My daughter was just calling me. You can edit that out, right?
No, oh yeah, we edit everything out.
Yeah, you've listened to the podcast.
Yeah,
right,
don't worry about
there
it.
you go.
It'll all be edited. Yeah, it'll all be edited.
Yeah.
It's all the difference between can and will.
Yeah,
True.
right.
True.
I don't think Tom, we formally introduced you to Ed.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Mr. Olszewski.
Yes.
This is Mr. Jacobs. This is Tom Jacobs, who is secret agent 0013 and is building his own layout in a dedicated building that is 26 by 32?
Oh, so close.
30.
36 by 20.
You sort of had the numbers there.
Yeah, you had the digits right, just in the wrong order.
Anyways, yeah. So he's building a layout in Robesonia, Pennsylvania, which is like 60 miles, kind of northeast of Philly, but mostly west of Philly, but pretty much just west of Philly. And and you guys, like Bruce said earlier before we started the show, we've got super fan number 12 and super fan number 13.
Well, it's nice to meet a fellow super fan, and it's funny. I actually work with a Kate Olszewski, but she spells her name completely different than you do.
Kate is Kete, and Ed is just Ed.
Yes.
Right.
That's true. Yep. And yes, you did say that correctly, Lionel. It is Ed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
And we shouldn't ignore the fact that in the early days, Ed was a regular contributor to Viewer Mail, which is what garnered you your superfan certificate. Do you remember what it was that put you over the top?
I think it was the billboards.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Did up a couple of different times. I did billboards for folks.
This would have been a great show if it only had lasted 6 months, because then I could have remembered everything that happened.
Yeah.
So that was another problem that I never encountered. So just before we go off, these members' homes that you travel to for every 6 weeks, do they know you're coming, or you just show up?
No, they know we're coming, and in fact, they sign up a year in advance. We're starting to talk to folks right now, in fact, about the 2019 calendar, see who's willing to host, and we'll have an annual picnic, typically in August, where everybody gets together. Here in Syracuse, we've got the large DeWitt yards, so we've also got an extra fair trip where we'll just we make arrangements to hang out in a parking lot next to their yards where it's safe to watch the trains, and it's right next to the main line, the CSX main line, so we'll spend a few hours there, put some shrimp on the Barbie and whatnot. And it's just, it's a fun time.
What is
Get
it?
together.
What are the DeWitt yards? I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Oh, that's all right. The DeWitt yards, well, they started out, New York Central had a huge eastbound hump yard and a westbound hump yard here back in the day. It was a huge yard. And now CSX, in the last 10 years or so, has turned it into more of an intermodal and a division point yard, it seems. There used to be a very large engine maintenance shop here. That's long since been torn down now. So
the region is, because there's I traverse I-90 on a semi-regular basis there. Somebody's breathing into their microphone, and I don't want to be rude, but one of us is breathing into their microphone, and I don't know who that is, and we don't mind that, except for all of our listeners. It could be a little disconcerting. So whoever's breathing into your microphone, you're going to have to stop breathing. Yeah. Just hold your breath for another hour and 15 minutes, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Exactly. So I traverse Interstate 90 between Buffalo and Albany and Springfield and Boston on a semi-regular basis, and there's a line. There's a main line that travels all the way down that kind of area, isn't there?
That's CSX.
Right.
That's the CSX main. That's the original New York Central water level route.
Right. And so so DeWitt Yard is a pretty active yard then.
Yeah.
And
it is.
And Syracuse is a pretty active railroad town.
Not anywhere as near as active as it used to be, but yeah, it is active.
Well,
today we have New York Susquehanna and Western here, and and then a CSX and Finger Lakes Railway also.
So you got three railways in town, and you're telling me it's not active. Come on now. It's pretty active by today's standards, would it not be?
Yeah, by today's standards, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty active.
All right. And what is today?
Well, I don't want to give dated information in case someone's listening to this 10 years from now.
We'll go ahead and take a guess and see if it is.
Well, last I checked, it was June 12th.
Well, okay, so that's the problem. If it's just under 10 years from now, it's probably May 15th in the year 2828.
Could be.
So you're completely wrong. You weren't even close.
Oh, Matt, you're making me feel right at home. I'm always told I'm wrong.
So it's the northeast region of the NMRA, and the division again is the Central
New York Division.
Central New York Division. And how many?
5 counties from Onondaga east through Utica.
Okay, and how many members in the whole division?
Last count, I think we had around 80.
Okay, so then the members that are in it are pretty active. If you're getting like half the members out to these monthly things, right?
Yep. Yeah, we are.
And do you have any, like, I know you've been active. We'll get to the why was it you came here again? You were going to tell us about your car. No, we're going to get to the layout, but
oh, you want to talk about the 68 GTO?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whoa, there you go. Now we're getting
okay. Yeah.
And do I not remember correctly that you're some guy that drives around in the desert?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that. So I know Bruce would like to talk about this, and I'm interested, and we don't care about Tom.
We'll get him interested.
Yeah, we'll get him interested. Why do you think that your division of the NMRA is working so well?
I think it's just the personalities of everybody who's in the division, and the philosophy of the division from the early start has always been open, welcoming, and educational. In fact, up until the NMRA, and I believe it was because of insurance reasons, mandated that non-members could only attend 3 meetings before they signed up. Our meetings were always open to the public.
Right.
So at this point in time, we still welcome the public, but after the 3rd time, we offer them a rail pass brochure, We also have a reimbursement program where we will reimburse them after the rail passes. Their rail pass membership is expired and they've signed up as a full NMRA member. Then we'll reimburse them the rail pass.
Okay, so you don't have to be a member. Like to become a member of the Central New York Division. There's no dues. So basically, that's just paperwork.
Yeah.
But to be,
well, I mean, they still have to belong to pay the fees, the annual fees to the NMRA, but we don't charge dues. We don't charge admission into our meetings or anything.
Right. So what I was going to say, if you would let me finish, for God's sake, Ed, would you just let me finish one time? This is CNN.
Okay.
You see them do that on CNN all the time. Will you please let me finish? The guys will always start arguing. I was just kidding. But I was about to say, so you have to belong to the NMRA in order to belong. So after 3 times, you give them that rail pass membership, which is, what is it, like $19 or something?
Yeah, it just went up to $19 this year.
And then after that, they have to become a full member of the NMRA if they want to continue to attend the meetings of the Central New York Division.
Yes, that is true.
Perfect. And do you feel like you lose many people when that happens?
We lose some, but we've actually retained quite a few of them. I think we retain more than we lose once we get them on the rail pass.
Yeah. Do you pay for the rail pass?
We will reimburse them for their rail pass once they become a full-fledged member.
Okay, so they take the rail pass and then join up after the 6 months. Then you'll give them the 19 back.
Yep.
That's
wow.
a good approach.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
But that way they get some skin in the game, and if they stick with it, then we welcome them with a reimbursement.
Wow, that's a great idea. Hats off to the Central New York. So, what is your position with the division?
I am a co-editor of the newsletter, although I haven't been real active with it. My other co-editor has taken on the yeoman's work recently because of travel and some other personal issues that have taken up my time. But I'm also on the board of directors of the division.
And how long have you been on the board of directors?
Oh, couldn't tell you.
No, you can tell me. It's all right. I won't tell anybody else. Nobody's listening.
11 years.
Wow. So you've enjoyed the NMRA. It's important. I guess what I'm getting at here is there's been plenty of times. I know you've listened pretty much every podcast. There's been plenty of times when we run down the NMRA, but I think it's important here to make. This is an excellent point of these. Here's a gentleman that feels like he gets a lot out of the NMRA.
I absolutely get a lot out of it. It's the social aspects of it. I enjoy getting together every 6 weeks, and we also get together even more often, smaller groups of us to operate on layouts and just hang out at a local hobby shop. And I enjoy the learning because everybody is so willing to teach others what they know.
Right.
There's nobody holds it close to their chest. They're more than willing to share.
And have you had any experience with any other divisions or regions of the NMRA?
Not to any great extent. A little bit with the Lake Shores Division, which is just west of us. They just moved from the Niagara Frontier region to the Northeast region. There's been a realignment going on where the NFR straddled the border, and with the changes in travel, it was very difficult to go from one side, from Canada to the U.S. or U.S. to Canada. So what's happening is the NER moved the Maritime Division out of the NER to the NFR, and I believe that happened. Maybe it's in the process of happening. I don't know for sure, but definitely the Lake Shores Division has moved from the NFR to the NER. That was just approved.
So like
either late last year or early this year.
So Buffalo and Lockport, New York, and all those guys now are part of the Northeast Division.
Northeast region.
Northeast region. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's get to this article in the NMRA Bulletin /Scale Rails /magazine.
Okay.
All right. So Bruce is very excited about this. What was it about, Bruce?
All right. It's basically description of their portable switching layout they made, how they went about making it, and what they do with it. So I guess, Ed, why don't you kind of just take us through what prompted you to build a layout to take to shows, and how you went about it and what you do with it.
Well, for a number of years, we've had displays at local model railroad shows, and those displays were fairly static. Some models set up, a couple of people sitting there building models, or standing out in front trying to talk to folks as they walk by, but nothing that would really grab their attention for any length of time. And so we were kicking around ideas, and Roger Beiswinger, the author of the article, came upon this one shelf type layout that was portable, and we started talking about that, and he was actually the champion of it and of the idea of building this display layout. So we discussed it, looked at it, and then as we were working through the logistics of building this 12-foot long layout, how would we go about building it, funding it and stuff. Gentleman, Mr. Bollert, had an article published in Model Railroader about a small shelf layout with a port, and being as how Oswego is just north of us, and this was I think his layout was 80 inches. It was intended to be built on a hollow core door, but because we wanted to transport it in a car, we says, hey, let's make 2 4-foot modules about, I think they're 12 or 18 inches deep, and that way we can put them in a car and take them to shows and set it up, and they're lightweight. We used the construction techniques and standards from the Little Roadie division and their Narragansett Bay Navigation Company layout. If you're familiar with that, I know they're at Springfield a lot.
That's
a beautiful
layout.
Yeah. Well, let's describe that. The Little Roadie division is where?
Rhode Island. Yeah, they have a division. For them, I will go through into Rhode Island. I won't go around it. Their layout is beautiful. It's an ON30 layout, really well done. They use the bend track module standard with a little bit of the Fremo philosophy thrown in.
What's bend track?
Bend track is essentially, instead of just having a point-to-point on your modules, you actually have a loop, an operating loop circuit of track, so you can make continuous runs. The main lines are actually, I think, if I recall the standard, they're 2 main lines, 10 inches. Each one is 10 inches from the center line of the module. The module is 30 inches wide. And then at the ends, you have these balloon tracks that take the main line on the right side, loop it around to the left side, so you have continuous running capability. But it's only a 30-inch wide module.
So it essentially almost makes it like a dog bone.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. Okay.
And they've done some beautiful scenery, all salt marshes and coastal scenery. It's set back in the late 1800s.
I think I'm familiar with that layout. It's always in like the Mallory building, that big building way off.
And it's a fair size layout too.
Yeah, it is. It's a good size layout.
Yeah.
Cool. And and would you say bend or bent track?
Bend. BEND.
Okay. And how do you figure they came up with that name, or who came up with that name?
No idea. I have no idea of the history of that.
Did you not know you were going to be on this show tonight, or?
I did, but I just I crammed. Some stuff just fell out. What can I say?
That's an interesting name. All right. So anyway, so you guys were really like that layout. So then you decided you were going to try to do something similar.
Yeah, we use their construction techniques for their lightweight modules. Our layout is a simple point-to-point, couple of switches, 3 sidings. 2 of them are on a pier. along the front of the module, and then another one goes off at an angle to the back towards the freight house, and then there's another siding on the other module for an engine house, and a lead. And what we do is we have 4 or 5 cars sitting on the layout. We have car cards for them. The car cards are nothing but a picture of the freight car, and the cards are shuffled up, and the youngster who's going to do the switching picks a couple of cards out. We lay them down and says, okay, here's the order that you need to put these cars on this track. And then we help them through the thought process of, okay, go pick this car up, move it over here. And they're actually running the layout with an NCE power cab throttle that was donated. And I believe they're a sponsor of the podcast, or at least they used to be.
Oh, you're talking about NCE.
NCE, yes, sir.
Jim Scores in Webster, New York, which is just outside of Rochester.
Yes.
Exactly.
So while one of our members is helping the youngster, boys and girls, everyone's welcome, switch the layout, someone else is talking to the parents who are right there, and we're just talking about model railroading, the layout, how we built it, how to start in the layout or in the hobby, and what to expect. Talk a little bit about our meetings, our division. I created a flyer that we can give them for more information on the division, and we always have a stack of rail pass applications there that we can hand out if anyone's shows some real interest in it. We don't force it on them. It's not a hard sell, but I have it there if they want it.
Yeah, like you're there, and people will be stopped by because they'll be interested in the layout, and then they'll start chatting with you, and you got stuff available to hand out if you need to.
Yep, exactly.
I'm looking at the article, and I got to say it. I like the design, the track plan, because it's simple. There's no runarounds. I've been to train shows where there's either a local club or a local NMRA division where they'll have a switching layout, but more often than not, it's a time saver layout, and it's more, can you solve the puzzle,
right.
And the focus is more on solving that puzzle. And if you're getting, somebody who's brand new or has never operated before, that can be very daunting. But what you've got here, the moves should be fairly straightforward, but still, that would take enough thought to kind of get the concept of, being as efficient as possible, pulling as many cars as you can, and and that sort of thing. So I like the approach here that it's realistic, but at the same time, it's not going to overwhelm a complete newbie.
Right. I mean, we've had youngsters as young as 3 and 4 years old operating this layout. And we've had youngsters as young as, I think, 80, 82 operate it. So it's a big draw with the public, and the parents can't thank us enough for actually letting their children not only see the trains, but actually run the trains and operate it. And each kid will spend 15 to 20 minutes switching the pier, and then the next one goes, and the next one.
And
just back to the design of it, it's a combination of like the classic Inglenook switching puzzle, which was made popular in England, and it's simple. You think it's easy, and you can make it as difficult as you want by the number of cars you select to switch.
Right.
And I was just going to say before we go on, whereabouts where are you looking, Tom, that you're seeing this layout? Because I'm not paying attention, which is not
in the Bruce put a link to the PDF of the actual article from the NMRA magazine into the chat.
Oh, okay.
And if you pull up the PDF and you scroll through, one of the last photos is the actual modules loaded for transport in a car, and you can see that it's the two pier spurs, then the spur behind that, and then you can see the other module with the lead to the engine house. So it's pretty easy to discern the track plan from looking at that photo.
It is very easy to discern the track plan from. So how did you this particular method of bench work? Can you describe that a little bit, Ed?
Well, like I said, that is based on the bench work that the Little Rhodey division uses for their Narragansett Bay layout.
Can you describe the bench work without mentioning Rhode Island?
Of course. Using 1/4-inch plywood, which I'm sure is a product of Canada.
Well, we have wood in Canada, that's for sure.
Yeah, you got lots of it.
Yeah.
No, we used 1/4-inch birch plywood. We found that the 1/4-inch, like typically called Luan, it splinters a lot.
Right.
And it's very hard to cut. But the birch plywood, the 1/4-inch birch, didn't splinter. It held together. It looks nice. So we cut that to width and created some T-braces that provide some structural support for the module, and glued it all together with little glue blocks.
Right.
And it's held together. We use some, they call them baseboard pins. They came from England. And over there, the modules and sections they call baseboards, I guess.
Yeah.
And so these pins align the two halves, and then we screw them together. And so the track, there's no track that we have track sections to put between the module halves. They just butt right up to each other, and off we go. We can literally have this thing set up in under 10 minutes and running.
Okay, now where would you get these baseboard pins so that we're not kind of leaving people hanging?
They were purchased from an outfit in England, and the last I knew, they were closing their door.
Ah, that's good.
So, but
that's because you only bought one set of pins.
You only bought one set of pins, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say that I've been doing some research on my own for some modules, and Woodcraft has these like table leaf alignment pins. There's a threaded insert that goes in, and then the pin would be on the leaf and slides right into it. Same principle. And I think they would work just as well.
Bruce, is there any easy way for anybody to find this particular PDF?
What, that I sent you in the chat, the site?
Yeah, the one that we're looking at while we're talking. Is there any easy? Is there any easy way for the listeners to find it?
I could put it up on our website or our Facebook page.
Certainly, you could do that. Do that for now, and then maybe I'll put it on the website as well. And so you downloaded it from the NMRA bulletin /scale rails /magazine.
Oh, of course, because we know. Oh, wait a minute, no, they don't have a PDF. So I ended up scanning it.
Oh, okay. So you scanned it.
I scanned
purely for backup purposes. I'm sure.
Exactly. It's our part of our research notes.
Well, no, that's cool though. That's good. So okay, so you've scanned it yourself into your computer, and that's how you have it.
Yes, sir.
And that's now how we're going to give it to the world. Is via okay, perfect. And hopefully, well, and Ed, I admire the fact that you are an NMRA member and that you support the NMRA. I am, and I too am I'm a member. I'm a member of some. Yeah, exactly. But hopefully, we'll put this on our website and we'll put this on our Facebook page, and we will make somebody on the board of directors of the NMRA angry because we've done this. That will be our.
You'll get a letter from their lawyers for copy infringement.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're using it for non.
No, I want somebody. I want somebody. The NMRA.
You want somebody to sue you, right?
No, I don't want anybody to sue me. I want them to get mad because we're trying to expose the hobby to the general public.
And Ed, for your information, Lee Valley Tools have the table leaf alignment pins.
Yeah, I see that. So, I was just looking at These will, of course, all be in the show notes, right?
Exactly.
Well, I think it's. I think we're just telling everybody right now, aren't we? Is this? Are we
We-
recording? Are we recording
Are we
this?
recording? So you did hit the record button, I hope. Otherwise, we're having a heck of a chat.
So Lee Valley Tools sells these pins that you're talking
Lee
about,
Valley Tools, they have them.
and
Yeah.
what?
A package of 20 is $8.60 Canadian.
All right, so put that. Let's put that link in there.
We'll
too.
throw that in there with some stuff. Yes.
Yeah, put that link underneath in the same little posting.
Yes, sir.
All right, that would be lovely. That would be wonderful. Tom, you're going to enjoy this. Last night we did a viewer mail, number 64.
Yep.
And we've kind of fallen behind on viewer mail. But anyways, we did viewer mail. And we were talking about somebody had a link to something, blah, 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 blah. And I was bemoaning the fact, or not really bemoaning the fact, but I mean, geez, I don't know how to, blah, blah, how are we going to get this out there, and yada, yada, yada. And Tony Cook, a Model Railroad News editor, Tony Cook, was on with us, and he goes, I'll just put it in the Facebook page. So we've done 63 viewer mails without putting any links out there, and Tony he kind of told us, well, why don't you just put it in the Facebook page?
Go.
Yeah, exactly. This is so well run.
It was face palms all around.
Yeah, exactly. All at the same time. So this is pretty cool, Ed. So you guys have built this, and now I see there's a young fellow that has a certificate.
Yep. One more thing to note about how we connect the modules together. You've got the alignment pins, but then to hold the two halves together, what we did is we took two T-nuts. One, we left the threads in. The other one, we drilled the threads out. So it acts just as a metal bushing, so that when we insert the screw, the quarter 20 bolt that actually tightens the two halves together, that T-nut that we drilled out prevents the threads from eating away at the wood and enlarging the hole. So everything will stay very tight for many, many make and breaks. And that's something I learned.
That's one of the things about model railroading. There are so many different ways to do so many different things. I mean, Tom, your head must just be spinning by now with all the things that you've learned in the last 4 years.
Yep. Yeah, and even on my own layout, there's different places where, I'm using different techniques, for different things. There's, we've got servos controlling some turnouts, and then in other places we're using traditional tortoises or ground throws, or, with track work and things like that. I mean, it's just, there's so many different ways to skin the proverbial cat, and depending on what situation presents itself, you almost have to use them all.
Right. And Tom, this is like I said, Tom, Tom is building this. It's a reading. You know what? While you were talking, I was getting ready to ask you a question, and I was going to say, I need to tell Ed what this layout is about. And I even in my head said, okay, Lionel, don't forget it's reading, not reading. And that was merely like a minute and a half ago. So Ed, Tom is building a Reading layout, and it is called the Cross Line, and it is the railroad between Hagerstown and
Allentown and Rutherford.
I knew that. And it's in a 20 by 36 dedicated outbuilding with a purple roof.
Now wait, I thought it was 36 by 20.
I forget.
Oh.
I think
he rotated 90 degrees.
I think it's 104 by, and it's a mushroom layout. This is going to be like, and we stumbled onto Tom at the beginning of this whole process. This is like one of my favorite ongoing things about this podcast is keeping up with Tom and building this layout. It is like, it is. It's like we were so lucky for you to find us, Tom. It is great. So that's what he's doing, Ed. And if you don't mind, the rest of the show will be about Tom.
Okay, it's your show. You take it any direction you want.
One of the other things in the article you mentioned, your group has a little PowerPoint clinic that you present called "Building a Small Layout." What's that all about? And can you get us a copy so we can maybe share that?
I will certainly talk to Roger. It is his clinic that he put together based on the building of the Port of Oswego, and I don't see why we couldn't share it with you. But it just takes people through the process, the step-by-step process of how do you build these modules. And it's applicable to any type of module you want to build, any size. The structure is the same, you just change the dimensions. And one of the things that we really strive to do is use the minimal amount of tools that people would probably have, like a circular saw, jigsaw, and that's about it. Now, we did have to use a table saw, and I think in the article they highlighted the fact that if you belong to a division, somebody's got a table saw, and we're always willing to help out and have you come over and we'll cut it up for you, cut it to width. So there's another benefit of the division and belonging to the NMRA is just the camaraderie and everybody willing to help out.
So basically, if somebody comes to your shows or where you're displaying your layouts, interested, you can tell them how to build it and invite them over to help them build their own.
If they're a member of the Central New York Division, yes.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah. And I really love how, Ed, that you're, really love your passion for the NMRA. That's really cool. Like, that's something that people have to understand as well. And how do you guys decide which shows you're going to go to?
There's several local shows. We just keep it local. We'll go to the big November show here in Syracuse every year. Then in February, there's one of the local clubs, the Syracuse Model Railroad Club, holds a small show. We'll go there. There's a show in the Utica train station in January. We'll go there. I think we may have gone to Rochester once to the Tiger Track show in December. But typically we just kind of keep it local.
Isn't that also an ice cream, Tiger Tracks?
I think so.
I think it is. I think there is.
Moose Tracks.
Moose Tracks.
Well,
there's
Moose Tracks.
There's a tiger tail.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and so have you ever taken it to Springfield?
No.
Have you ever thought about taking it to Springfield?
I have not. I don't know if they have.
Right. Okay. And like, is there one fella in particular that looks after the layout, or?
It's Roger. At this point in time, it's Roger maintains the layout. He has the banner that we created, along with the stand that holds the banner and stuff. So he's got the locomotive, the cars, all of it.
So it's Roger.
But that's what happens when you champion a great idea.
Yeah,
you become the owner.
Ed's being a little shy there because apparently he designed that wonderful banner that we see in the picture on the final page. So,
yeah.
Ed, you have some graphic talent, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ed, one of the things and you've listened to all this show, so you already know this. We got no problem with everybody tooting their own horn.
Okay. That's one thing I've always had a problem with.
Yeah, that would actually score you points for being a super fan.
Okay.
Right. However, if you don't toot your own horn, it could. Has your life changed at all since being a super fan?
Oh, immensely.
Yeah.
Immensely. Yeah. Yeah. I just too many ways to begin to say.
Yeah. It's just
have you had to join the super fan support group?
I've been looking for that. It seemed to be a very secretive bunch. Tom, are you like the head of it? Is that why it's so secretive?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, now wait a minute.
It's a secret agent thing, Ed. I'm sorry.
So what you're saying is I don't have a need to know.
Right.
All right, Ed. What about your own personal model railroading? Do you have a layout?
At home, I do not. I have a couple of modules, and we got a small informal group of friends. For 20 years now, we've had a set of modules that we bring to the November train show, set it up, run it. Oddly enough, our group is called the Not Too Serious Model Railroad Society.
Okay.
Everybody's a president. That way, nobody can outvote the other.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we tried that here for a while, but then I just wanted to be the evil overlord, so I gave up on that.
But we also, couple of the guys in the group are building their own layouts at home. So we go there whenever we can. Typically, it's once a week, and we'll help just build their layouts. One of the guys, Tom, he got his hands on an old layout. The gentleman, Gene Howard, had passed away, and the layout just sat in his house for years until his wife just had to finally start getting rid of stuff. And so Martin, another division member and owner of a local hobby shop, he got the layout from her, cut it up, and then Tom decided to take it, and we are resurrecting this layout. It's over 50 years old.
Wow.
And we are rebuilding it as close as we can, and we've pretty much maintained the layout as it was in Gene's basement. And it was one of the first layouts in the Central New York area that was actually built for operation. It's got an interchange, it's got an upper loop and a lower loop, 2 different yards. It's actually got quite a bit of operating capability on it in the industrial area. And one of the really neat things about it, since we've gotten it up and running and converted it to DCC, we've actually had Gene's daughter over to see it, and she's brought a tear to her eye, and she says, "I never thought I'd see this layout up and running again." And she was just so delighted that we were carrying on her father's legacy.
I was going to say, that must have been
That's nice.
Yeah, a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, it really was.
Okay, Ed, I got a question for you. You're a fellow that's a huge, you're well traveled and all that. You took I just remember you took a picture with Morgan Pavia.
I did.
The first time you guys met, you never took a picture of each other, did you? Together?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, that almost.
He was with his dad, and I didn't want to impose.
I know. I don't understand. That is that is one of my things about the new society. Everybody's walking around with a camera. Take a picture. I don't care what you're doing. Take a picture.
Lionel, if there's some places where I go, if I take a picture, you'd probably never see me again.
Perfect.
So you're a spy, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm a spy, no, sir.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. So okay, you're well traveled. So where do you think the hobby is in this world today? I think it's growing like crazy. Here's what I think. I think the hobby is on the verge of exploding because of the digital world, and I think eventually it's going to explode, and we're all going to be covered in model railroad goo. That's what I think.
I'd like to say that. I'm not sure I'm quite that optimistic. It's definitely not dying. I think it's truly changing. I think the way people approach the hobby is definitely changing. It seems like, I think they call it, some people like to practice checkbook modeling. They just go and they buy the pre-weathered stuff, drop it down, and off they go, which is great. That's how they enjoy the layout or the hobby, and I have no problem with that. That's wonderful. But it's definitely changing. And I think DCC, sound, some of the changes and developments that ESU and Soundtracks have made over the years has really helped to improve the operational capability of the locomotives and trains, the sound, the reality of it all.
Right. I'm gonna pin you down here. Changing how? Because I've heard that comment more than once, and I'm like, how do you mean changing? Changing like give me see if you can give me an example.
So for an example, I'm seeing a shift away from basement filling empires to smaller layouts.
Right.
I'm seeing, well, like I said, more people are just buying their models already built, and in a lot of cases already weathered, including freight cars now.
Right.
Rather than doing it themselves. They seem to be shying away from building the kits and just buying ready to run. So there's less of an emphasis, I think, on hands-on building the stuff and more of an emphasis on acquiring it, getting it on the layout when you come home, and starting to run it. So some of the talent and the like I said, the hands-on I think is going away. It's not dying, but it's going away. People aren't willing to take the time to invest in building a model.
Right.
And part of that, I think, is there's just too many other things competing for our time in our lives.
Right. So, I mean, really, the opportunity, one of the opportunities for the hobby to grow is for the companies to be aware of that. And there's nothing wrong with the hobby taking a different direction and stuff being pre-weathered and good detailed shape right off the bat. It's just
right. It's as long as you're willing to pay for that functionality.
Right.
Great. You know,
so,
for myself personally, I enjoy building the kits.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing some weathering.
You've posted a lot of pictures of when you're on the road. You take a little bit of a traveling workshop with you, and because I remember you were building one of those white metal cat lumber thing.
Yeah, cat D8 and a log arch.
Right.
Yeah, I built that in the hotel room. I built a coal bunker in a hotel, scratch built stick by stick a set of coal bins in a hotel room.
And so did you go to university in Syracuse?
No, I actually went to Rochester Institute of Technology for my bachelor's. I did go to SU for my master's. Okay,
so you went to RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, and then you returned to Syracuse University.
Yep.
Okay. And did you root? How did they become the Orangemen?
No idea. Been the Orangemen for as long as I can remember.
Would you like to take a guess?
Nope. Wouldn't have a clue how to even guess.
So, and how did Syracuse University become Syracuse University? I mean, it's up there, way up by Lake Ontario. It's not there is not a big city just down the road. So it's a fairly big, important university. It's a powerhouse in basketball. It's off and on. It's a powerhouse in football. How did that happen? Do we know?
No, I just know that way back in the day when when the university was formed, they started out with a Hall of Languages, I think one or two other buildings, and they just grew from there. There was a need in the area, and the founding fathers of the university saw that need and filled it, and never looked back. I mean, we were back in the day. There was nothing between Albany and Rochester in the way of higher education, so they filled that need in this area as the center grew. Right,
and upstate New York is a fascinating place. I mean, it's very self-sufficient with like Albany and Syracuse and Rochester. Rochester's a great town. And, And so, what did you take? I know what I was going to ask you. Occasionally, we talk about model railroading here. There used to be a great model railroading Central Hobby. Central Hobby
Supply. Yeah, they're still there.
Are they really?
Yeah. Bill Kratz, he still runs it.
Tom, you were going to say. No. Tom, you were going to say something.
Yeah, it's Central Hobby is still there. Herzog, Jim Herzog, who is a friend of mine. He travels to Syracuse for work every so often, and he's always telling me that when he makes that business trip, he always stops there and buys a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, like I remember 30 years ago when I would be heading one way or the other across I-90, I had to stop at Central Hobby. So it was a great store. Is it still a great store?
Yeah, it's still. I enjoy going there. Now there is another hobby shop. If you enjoy scratch building, Borodino Scale Lines is run by Martin Collard, and he stocks a lot of scratch building supplies, Grant Line windows, Tichy, all the Tichy parts, a lot of different size scale lumber from Mount Albert and Northeast. So a lot of the different weathering solutions. If you're into scratch building, Martin's shop is where you want to go.
Okay, and what's it called again?
Borodino Scale Lines. It's a little out of the way now. It used to be in Elbridge, but he's now he had to move the shop back to his house in Borodino. He's actually got an outbuilding where he's got the shop set up.
How do we spell Borodino?
Borodino.
Borodino. Like, so it's like boar, and then then dino.
Yeah.
So it comes out. It sounds like Borodino.
So Lionel, here are some fun facts from the internet machine about Syracuse. Apparently, Syracuse has functioned as a major crossroads over the last 2 centuries, first between the Erie Canal and its branch canals, then due to the railway network.
Okay.
So I think it kind of developed and became prominent as a result of its location. I'm reading here apparently being on the lake. I guess the lake is very salty, and there was a salt mining that happened years ago.
It's not Onondaga Lake that's salty, but there are a lot of brine wells that they pump the brine out of the ground, and we were the salt capital of the world for a while back in the 1800s.
I seem to vaguely remember that.
Then when the salt industry, excuse the pun, dried up, the Salve process, Allied Chemical came in with the Salve process, and that made heavy use of the brine. So they were continuing to pump brine out of the ground and pump it up from the Tully area right up until the end in the mid-'80s when they shut down.
Interstate number 81, does it not?
Yes.
It passes through, so it's north-south, and it goes up to Gananoque in Watertown in upper New York. Gananoque is on the Canadian side, so Syracuse is right at the end of Lake Ontario, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Interstate 81 goes up to Gananoque in Canada, heads south to Binghamton.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling, I have no idea, Tom, where this question's going to go. I don't know what the answer to it is, but I got a funny feeling somehow you've got a relationship with Interstate 81.
I do. 81 is actually not too far from me. I'm about probably 15 minutes away from Interstate 78, which is the east-west interstate that will go from central Pennsylvania all the way over to New York City, and 78 runs into 81. So if you take 78 west from my house towards Harrisburg, you're eventually going to run into 81 south.
Okay, cool. Well, that's cool. So there you go. So, and then you could jump on it and head up to Syracuse if you wanted to.
I could.
There you go.
Boy, there's a haul. I've made that drive more times than I care to remember in the last 5 years.
I seem to remember
going from Syracuse down to Chambersburg.
What's in Chambersburg?
Nothing.
There's an army depot there.
Okay, so now we're going to have to, as little as best. First, before we go on, I found Borodino. It's Borodino. Borodino. The second O is kind of silent, isn't it?
Borodino.
Okay, is it scale? So that's the fella's last name, Borodino.
No, Martin Collard is his name, is the owner's name.
I knew that.
Shop is Borodino Scale Line.
I knew that. I was just testing you. How do you think he came up with the name Borodino?
Because he lives in the town of Borodino.
It says here that he lives. It says here that's in Skatles or Skatles, New York.
Skinny Atlas.
Skinny Atlas. Come on,
yeah,
that is not Skinny Atlas.
No, it's south of Skinny Atlas in the little hamlet of Borodino.
That is not how you spell. That is not how you pronounce that name, Skinny Atlas.
Yes, it is.
No way. Come on, give me a break here. From this point forward, we got to have only 2 syllables. Your name can either be Tom or Ed, and we'll accept Bob. And then the last name's like Jacobs. It's simple.
I can't. I want you to go and look at the name of the river that runs through Cortland and try to pronounce it.
This Borodino hobby shop looks spectacular.
It is. It's a great place. It's not very big, but if you like scratch building, he's got what you need.
He's the kind of guy we should have on for an interview. He'd be that'd be a fascinating interview too, eh? And boy, it's just a beautiful shop he's got there, very rustic and everything. So
every Thursday afternoon, a bunch of us get together at his place and just, if you notice BSL, we call it the BS Lounge.
Okay. So every Thursday afternoon, you guys go up there and hang out, kind of like at the virtual hobby shop, only it's the real deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we gotta work on getting. He'd be another interest. That's the problem. I'm telling you, you guys are way off. This hobby is This hobby is huge. This hobby is way bigger than anybody realizes. I'm convinced that's the one thing this podcast has done for me. Like, look at this beautiful shop. It's absolutely gorgeous. Holy man. And you can take a virtual tour. So you go to find it, you go to Borodino, BORODINO, scaleline.com. There it is, right there. Can somebody put that link on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Ed,
and he's got a beautiful layout that he's building up above the shop.
Wow.
He used to model narrow gauge HOM3, but he's converting it to standard gauge.
Right.
But he's maintaining it the steam. Go ahead, Tom. I'm sorry.
So is that the Tioga River?
Tiafneoga.
Tiafneoga. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it either, Tom.
Okay.
It's some kind of it's some kind of
It's an Indian name.
A lot of it, yeah. I mean,
it's some kind of a trick.
So Ed, you mentioned, are you talking about the Army depot in New Cumberland, or is there separate one in Chambersburg?
There's a separate one in Chambersburg, the Letterkenny Army Depot.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
The what depot?
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny Army Depot.
That's it. I'm quitting this podcast.
Lionel, they used to build tanks there.
Letterkenny. I'm quitting. No, seriously, this is it. I'm turning the switch off. That's it. We're done. So, all right, Ed, let's get down to brass tacks here. What do you do for a living?
I'm a radar engineer.
Okay.
I build radars. I support radars. I support the soldiers in the field when they have problems.
Okay. And do you work for an independent contractor and then?
No, I work for Lockheed Martin.
Okay, so you work for Lockheed Martin and looking after their radar or helping maintain radar.
Yep, and design. I help design them.
Oh, do you really? And how long have you done that?
Since '78, in one form or another. I started out building small components that go into radars and jamming systems, and then slowly I built my way up to where I am today, where I'm helping to design the full radar.
So is Lockheed?
It's a large team that does it. It's not just me.
Yeah, you're the only person in the United States of America that's building radar for the military.
Yeah.
For the military.
No.
But more important for our viewers, can you provide us with a set of plans so we can build our own radar jammers to defeat the police?
Yeah.
We can put that up on our Facebook page too.
Bruce, just do a search on the internet. There's all kinds of tricks out.
So is
Problem solved.
Lockheed Martin in Syracuse?
Yeah. We've got a big plant here in Syracuse. They got plants all over the country and all over the world.
And how did you end up at Lockheed Martin? When did you graduate university? When did you get your master's? So what's your master's in?
My master's is in engineering management and operations management. My bachelor's is in electrical engineering.
This is usually a good time in the show. This is really around one of the times in the show that I often like to mention that I did pretty good in grade 10 geography.
Oh, that's great. You did better than me.
My favorite story is I graduated grade 12, and my geography teacher handed me my diploma and said, Strang, I didn't think there was a hope in hell you'd ever make it. And I thought, oh, well, thank you very much for that encouragement as I go off onto my life.
Yeah.
Okay, so you worked for Lockheed Martin since 1978, so like 40...
No. I started out at a smaller outfit here in Syracuse.
Okay.
And then I worked there for 13, 14 years. Then I went to Philips Electronics. They had a small manufacturing facility here. Worked for them for about 9 years. Then I started at Lockheed. And just kind of,
so basically,
like everybody else, I started at the smaller component level and worked my way up.
Yeah, you can't hold a job, basically.
Nah. Yeah, I did pretty good for myself.
So how often? So now you've sent us pictures of being out in the desert, and you're out in the desert maintaining radar.
Yep.
So you can
maintaining them, operating them during test events.
Right. Okay. And this would be like in the desert in Arizona and places like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And can you give us the GPS coordinates of where one of these radar units might be?
No.
Nobody's listening. Come on.
Yeah, that's okay. No.
So how often do you travel?
I had been traveling quite a bit, actually. Over 50% of the year I was gone from home.
Right.
But my wife, bless her soul, has survived stage 4 cancer. She's in remission.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
And that last October she was diagnosed. I stayed home, and I'm pretty much done traveling. That was a wake-up call.
Absolutely. So do you mind if I ask, number one, what's your wife's name?
Tina.
And she's doing okay now?
She's doing great. She is in remission. There is no sign of it left. The doctor here did a wonderful job. Excellent. Can't say enough about her.
That's awesome.
That is, you must be unbelievably relieved.
Absolutely. Yep.
Unbelievably relieved. I've had a little bit of experience with that myself.
Yes, you have. And you're doing great, too.
Yeah. So, do you mind telling us what kind of cancer she had?
She had ovarian cancer.
Wow. So that is unbelievably serious.
Yeah.
So you guys must be just kind of like thrilled with life in general then.
Yeah. She beat the odds.
Yeah. So how cool is that? That is awesome, Tina. Totally awesome. Let's give a big, totally awesome shout out to Tina for doing that. And
yes, sir.
And that is great. And you, Ed, you must be, you must just look at things in a whole different light now.
Yeah, I do. It really changes the way you look at things.
Exactly.
It sure does.
Right. So now perhaps you'll start writing some more emails into the old show. I know you recently wrote one in.
Yeah. I forget what it was about.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. I remember that.
Nah. Yeah, it couldn't have been that important. It couldn't have been that important. I don't even remember what it was about.
All right. So Central Hobby Supply, you said it's the same guy still running it?
Yeah. He's one of the original owners.
Wow. It was always a fantastic shop. And how long has Bordino's been going? Since 2002? Is that what it says here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And how far from there are you? Like what part of Syracuse do you live in?
The western end of Syracuse, the Geddes Camillus area. So I'm just west of the city line.
And what do you model specifically? Do you have anything in specific that you model?
Lackawanna. I like the Delaware Lackawanna and Western. It ran the Syracuse and Utica division. Ran through Syracuse, obviously. Huge presence here back in the 50s and 60s, and it ran all the way up to Oswego, where they actually had a very large coal operation. Transship. They would transfer coal from the railroad right into the ships, the Lakers, to deliver coal up to Canada.
Yeah, exactly. And Canada's not that far, but everything's on tariffs now for Canada, including podcasts. Like this is going to cost you a lot more to get it across the border.
Well, I'm sure one way or another I'll figure out how to do it.
So is Syracuse kind of is it active in model railroading?
Yeah, very. I think in the last year we've had at least 3 of our layouts featured in national magazines.
Right.
There's quite a few layouts in the area, and there's a lot that don't get into magazines that are just as nice.
Right.
And we've got one member's modeling FN3. You want to talk about big?
I was going to say it's FN3. What is F?
Yeah,
is that?
It's 1 to 20.3.
Oh, I know. Wow. I know that. Have I heard of that before? There's G scale. There's G scale.
It's runs on G gauge track, 45 millimeter gauge track, but it's scaled to be 3 foot. The track width is scaled for 3 feet and FN3.
The detail on that would be spectacular.
Oh yeah, Tom does a wonderful job.
And how big is that layout?
It's a shelf layout around his basement. He's building it.
But the shelf is 4 feet wide.
I don't know.
It's a shelf laid around his basement, and he happens to own a football size bungalow, football field sized bungalow. Has he ever heard of Tom Jacobs? He's building 100 by.
Yeah, he might have it in the carrier dome somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So, is there anything else we want to ask Mr. Olszewski? Are you sure that's how you pronounce it?
I'm positive.
All right. How many kids you got?
2.
Girl and boy?
Yep.
And did any of them happen to get married recently?
My daughter.
What a coincidence.
Yes, she did. Yeah.
How are you doing with the new son-in-law? How are you finding that working out?
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he's like that would be pretty. I always thought that'd be pretty. I know my father-in-law didn't take it too well. It'd be a handful of.
No, I give him credit. He asked me for permission before he asked her.
Wow.
He did it old school.
Wow, old school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
so he got some cred there with me.
Cool.
Now, did you have to cough up a dowry of 2 cows or something like that to seal the deal? Or?
Nah, he wanted my 2 SD45s. I said, no way.
So he's a model railroader.
No,
Not
he's
yet.
not.
Well, maybe
I'm working on it.
Maybe you could take him to the little switching layout here and give him the talk and the rail pass. And
yep,
that's pretty slick.
I'm on it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm working on him.
I think we should finish off with reviewing about how the Central New York division of the NER doesn't have any dues. And after 3 meetings, if you join the rail pass and that lasts 6 months, and then you become a full member of the NMRA, you get your dues for the rail pass back. Like, I think that's, where do you guys, and that's all from the raffles and everything you do, eh?
Yeah. Yep. The raffles, the auction. Now we are going to be hosting the 2019 NER convention here next September. I'm the deputy general chair for that. Ed O'Rourke is the general chair. And we'll actually hold a raffle during that convention that
we'll keep you going for a while.
That'll support us in our efforts.
And do we know the dates of that?
I want to say it was the September 19th to the 22nd.
Well, you can say that if you want.
And I got to look up a calendar. Hang on a minute.
Well, let me extend a formal invitation that in the spring of 2019, if you'd like to come back on the show, you'd be more than welcome, and we can talk about the convention.
Yeah, it's the 19th to the 22nd, Thursday through Sunday.
Yeah, of September
2019. Yeah.
So it's a year and a bit away.
Yep. It's going to be held at the Holiday Inn in Liverpool, which is where we've held the conventions in 2008 and 2012 when we hosted. We get along really well with the hotel, and they enjoy having us. They do a great job for us. We've got we're trying to put together some really good prototype tours and more layouts than you're going to be able to shake a stick at.
That's the thing. I think that's the thing I want to mention about Syracuse is like there's tons of layouts, tons of model railroading, tons of. And what kind of prototype tours would it be?
We don't have a whole lot of that nailed down yet. Of course, it's way too early. But in the past, I chaired the prototype tours, and I did a couple of tours of different sections of the Finger Lakes Railway. We did what we would do is get a charter bus, and for back in 2008, we started in Salve at the eastern terminus of the railway here in Syracuse, and we followed it all the way to Geneva. And I was fortunate enough to have a gentleman from the railway on the bus to act as our tour guide, so we were able to actually see different aspects of the rail line, get right on the property because of him. Stayed on the bus. It's not like we wandered around, but he was able to describe loads in, loads out, how the railroad operated, a little bit about the equipment, the customers. And then in 2012, I put together a tour where we went from Geneva south through Penn Yan all the way to Watkins Glen, doing the same thing.
Wow.
Learning about the railroad. In 2008, I had a tour to the Jamesville Quarry where we learned about quarry operations. They also have rail loadout, so there's the rail freight aspect of it. A lot of the ballast for Central New York used on the railroads comes from there.
Right.
And we actually got to see them blow up a rock wall. That was neat.
That was pretty cool.
She blew it up real good.
She done blew it up real good. All right. Well, I guess that's it. So I guess we better bring it to an end.
In fact, if you go to YouTube, to our YouTube channel, CNY NMRA, I've got a video of that tour.
This is my
Jamesville Quarry.
Is my microphone gone on mute or something? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you are, Lionel. Yeah. Now I hear you.
So, all right, on YouTube, where do you go on YouTube?
CNY NMRA.
Okay, so the CNY. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to do that right this minute. I'm going to see if I can find it because that's the true test of anything that's on the internet. If Lionel can find it, it's findable. If Lionel can't find it, then you got to make it simpler because there you go. Helmet cam. Okay, so I left out the N. That's Central New York Motorcycle Racing Association.
Yeah.
So you cannot rely on Lionel to do anything.
It's almost like Russian car crash videos.
Exactly. All right, CNY NMRA. I'm going to try that again. I'm getting all
the motocross stuff here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disheartening.
It is disheartening. But
I got it.
Okay, how'd you get it?
I put a space between CNY and NMRA.
Oh, man. See, that's why we're doing it together. Look at it. There it is right there.
Dun, da, da, da.
Dun, da, da, da. And you only got 3 subscribers?
Yeah.
We got to put an end to that.
We'll have to fix that right now.
All right, so the official name is CNY Division NMRA.
Right, okay. And you have...
James...
okay. So you got the Jamesville Quarry Tour and the CSX Local in Gettys, New York. I've been to Gettys.
That's the New York State Fairgrounds.
It is. And so you need more videos and you need more people.
What you need to get is a video of your little layout in action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that U-boat, by the way, on the cover page. I like that Lehigh Valley inspired paint scheme on that U-boat.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was kind of like the little GE unit myself.
That was taken during the 2008 tour of Finger Lakes.
All right. Well,
actually, oddly enough, today I had to drive over to Hoboken for work, and on my way back, as I was coming into Reading, the Lehigh Valley Heritage Unit was coming eastbound as I passed, and of course I was headed west and did not have the time or the ability to pull over and stop and try and get a photo. But that was kind of a nice sight.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Nice.
And it's possible that James Mattern worked on that. Our very own James Mattern.
Yes.
Is it not? Is it a CSX unit?
It's Norfolk Southern.
And he works for the Norfolk Southern.
He does.
So
and I had dinner with him tonight.
And
I believe he works out of Enola Yard.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Everybody
was
was talking
on the menu for dinner.
Hey, wait a minute. Everybody was talking at the same time. What yard does he work at?
He works out of the diesel shop at Enola.
Okay. So what was for dinner? Who had?
Let's see. My lovely wife Deb had crab cakes. I think James had some kind of panini, and I had a burger.
Okay. And coincidentally, Bruce was supposed to buy me lunch today.
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
Because you didn't show up.
Oh,
I forgot all about it.
Yeah, you forgot all about it. I was
swing by tomorrow.
And I see now you got to text me if you don't message me or text
me. Yeah, I know. I thought about it about 1:45. Said, huh. I'm getting a little peckish. I said, but
yeah.
Well.
Yeah. So he invites me to lunch, and then nothing. I ended up eating.
I'm sure there was a bird banding emergency he had to take care of.
No, I was actually working on a proposal for work, and
yeah. Well, here's a proposal for you.
Yeah.
Now, Bruce, did the proposal involve vertical turbine pumps?
No, it didn't. Well, no, this one involved well rehabilitation.
Okay.
So now I have to. We're gonna close this puppy up, and I have the closing ceremonies on my iPad. Anybody want to take any bets on whether or not my iPad is here?
I would say the odds are somewhat astronomically not in favor of being there.
Exactly. Hey, Ed, do you want to do the Kelly questions after this?
Sure.
All right. So this is the real test for you guys.
Yes.
This is the real standalone test.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get my iPad.
All right.
Out of the Palacios. It's on the 47th floor, and we're on the 48th floor of the Mildred A. McCracken building.
He's going to take the transporter down and get it.
And down in downtown Busted Knuckle, Kentucky. And you guys are going to carry the show while I'm gone. And if that part doesn't end up on when you're listening to it, if that part doesn't end up on the final show, you'll know how well you did.
There we go.
And cue the elevator music in 3, 2, 1.
Dun 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 dun.
You've listened to that before, Tom.
I have it on CD.
Oh yes, it's a beautiful thing.
It is. It's very relaxing.
That and the Rhode Island song.
Yes, that's a beauty.
Haven't heard that in a while.
No? Oh.
No, I haven't heard that in a while either. Of course, I'm not a Patreon subscriber, so I'll probably get out of Lionel's good graces because of that. But
well, there's a few links to it up on the Facebook page, so I'll throw it up again for fun.
Well, actually, Ed, if there is an advantage to not being a Patreon subscriber, because you don't get to hear that damn Massachusetts song after all the Springfield interviews.
Oh, you guys complain all the time.
Oh, I hate that song.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
So have you been over to the Springfield show, Ed, before?
I have. Actually, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been a couple of us. There's 4 of us. We make a road trip out of it. We'll leave Thursday morning.
Right.
And we'll spend Thursday and Friday just touring different layouts in New England.
All right.
So
it'll be about a 4-hour drive for you, won't it? 3.5, 4 hours?
Yeah, it's about that. But we will tour Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. We've been to Vermont.
You've seen George Celios's
every year.
Frank? Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Thursday night we get a hotel in Peabody, and Friday morning we're right at George's when he opens.
Oh, nice.
And then we go from there. but we've seen some beautiful layouts.
Right.
Really nice stuff. And then we'll spend Saturday and Sunday at the show. It's enjoyable.
Oh, it's a spectacular show.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Now, I've only seen pictures of George's layout, but it must be spectacular seeing it in person.
Every time I've gone, I see something new. And he hasn't changed it. It's just, there's so much to see. You know, there's so much to take in. You just, over the years, you finally start drilling into smaller and smaller scenes after you've taken in the whole thing. And there's just so many little hidden scenes and things. You know, you took a guy, cut him in half, stuck him in a manhole cover, and he's poking his head out, talking to somebody next to the truck. All that good stuff.
Yeah. Certainly talented modeler, and the kits he used to produce are unbelievable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
In
fact, speaking of his kits, Martin Collard was helping a friend of his build a layout, and they had a fine scale miniatures kit, and Tom wanted to use it in this one area, but it wouldn't fit because it was going up against a wall.
Right.
So Martin looked at it, looked at the space, looked at the kit again. Tom said, "Where are you going?" He walked over, turned out a table saw, cut the kit, and set it in place perfectly.
Oh.
The only person I've ever known of who's actually cut a completed fine scale miniatures kit.
Yeah. I had a bunch at one time and sold them off when I switched over to modeling British O scale. So that financed, but I still got a couple kicking around.
Yeah.
But the castings are the amazing part, and and now that the other person's taken over all the castings, that's good that they're still available.
Yeah. One of the things, if you visited George's layout, he will have from time to time odds and ends that he'll just have on a desk there for sale. And I picked up a box of, it must have been 100, just miscellaneous castings left over from kits he was getting rid of.
Oh, nice.
For like $20.
Beauty.
He just wanted to get rid of them. It's sold.
You got any more? Yeah. Yeah, it's exquisite castings he has. And yeah, that's the hallmark of those kits. You pick it up, it weighs a ton because of all those beautiful castings in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what really sets his kits apart. I mean, obviously the design of the structure is wonderful, but then all the little details he adds in.
Yeah. And his instructions are always super too. Like there's 3 or 4 sheets of instructions, just beautifully written instructions.
Are you talking about Jimmy Simmons?
You must be talking about one of his very early on kits, like his engine house, because his Fox Run Mills? That thing was like 30 or 40 pages. That instruction set. No, we're talking about George Celios and fine scale miniatures kits.
Oh, okay.
The instructions that take the cake, though, are, have you ever seen a South River Model Works kit?
No, not the instructions to them.
The instructions are, it's like, I bought, he's retired, he's no longer in business, but I bought one of his kits off of eBay just for the opportunity to put one together, and the instructions are, it's got to be close to 100 pages. It's spiral bound, and it has everything, but everything from how to assemble it to how to paint, how to weather. I mean, the whole thing. It's the instructions are just as much a work of art as the kit itself.
Wow. So, in fact, a couple of years ago, we actually got to visit Bob Van Gelder in his shop just before he retired and saw his layout on one of our Springfield outings, road trips. That was impressive. That he has a very nice layout he's in the process of building.
Is the business still going?
No, Bob retired. He sold off all his kits.
And who did he sell them off to? Do you know?
No, I don't think anybody purchased the rights to the kits. He just sold off what he had. He had kept one or two. I think he kept two of each kit for himself. And in the last couple of years, he's been selling off all of those.
Right. Wow. I'm telling you, this hobby is way bigger than anybody realizes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, way bigger. Like, it's massive.
You just mentioned Jimmy Simmons. He's getting out of the business. He's looking to sell Monster Model Works.
Yes.
Yep.
I wonder.
He's got an opportunity up in Colorado he's going to jump on.
Doing what? Do we know what?
Whatever he was doing before he started Monster Model Works.
Some kind of program management or something, I guess.
All right. Well, let's close this puppy up.
Okay.
It's like an hour and 40 minutes long.
There you go.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be like one of our most popular ever.
I'm sure it will be with 2 superfans on her.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Never thought of that.
One would like to think.
It's 2 for Tuesday.
2 for Tuesday.
There you go.
But what if somebody's listening to this on October 3rd in the year 2025?
Then they've screwed up. They should have listened to it on a Tuesday.
Ed, that is, I just wanted to say, I thought that was the most cheerful news about your wife.
Thank you.
No,
Yes, it was. It was great news, and the best part was we got it 2 days before my daughter's wedding, so it was all the way around.
So that has only just happened recently, then.
Yes. Yep. Just a couple weeks ago.
Wow,
That's awesome.
I have another podcast that I'm trying to get off the ground, but I find it very difficult to do. But it's just generally talking to people about cancer, but trying to talk to them in an upbeat way.
Mm-hmm.
And I should talk to your wife.
Well, if you'd like to, I can see if she's interested.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you ever see her at all, or?
Occasionally, yeah. I tend to. I used to fly in for the weekend every once in a while and surprise her.
Okay.
She get what are you doing here? Yeah. And just for general interest, October 3rd, 2025 would be Fabulous Friday. They'd be listening.
There you go. Exactly. So it's okay. Exactly. So if they listen to it on October the 6th, 2025,
that'd be Marvelous Monday.
Okay. October the 7th.
It'd be
there you
2
go.
for Tuesday.
2 for Tuesday. Okay. There we go. All right. So we got to give out our email address.
Our email address, if you want to send us an email and tell us how wonderful this podcast was because of our special guest. Our email address is modelerslife, modelers with 1 L, modelerslife@gmail.com.
Right. And our guest was Ed Olszewski. Olszewski. Ed Olszewski. Am I saying that right? Is it Ed?
It is Ed, yes.
Okay. And we have a Facebook page at we have a website. That's what we have. If you go to modelerslife.com, that's right there. That's our website, and you'll find our links to our Facebook page and our Patreon page. And today, on this particular day, I made a video to introduce our Patreon page. It is now stuck. If you go to our Patreon page, you'll see a 6-minute video explaining exactly what's happening and what you get and all that stuff.
Well, there you go.
I did that with my lovely assistant, Barb, and we managed to do it in one take.
Excellent.
And it's quite humorous at the end. So there you go. I should put that on our Patreon page on our website, too.
Yes.
I think I will. Good thinking. And maybe Mr. What's the fella's name that looks after the layout? The CNY layout?
Oh, Roger Beiswinger.
Okay. No, if questions will get easier as we go along.
Okay.
Maybe he'll allow us to put his PowerPoint presentation on our website.
I will find out.
Okay, that would be cool. So, all right. So we've covered everything. We've done the email address. We've done the website, modelerslife.com. There's our links there for Patreon and Facebook. I think we've covered. Tom, have we covered everything?
I think so.
All right. So now, Ed, being a regular listener to the show, do you know what it is that's going to happen next?
I do.
All right. Hang on to your hat.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Well, Ed, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
happy rails to you.
It's another Lincoln Homer.